guys, welcome to this latest episode of the show. You already know the drill. Drop a like button, could you subscribe to the channel, leave us your comments, let us know what you think about it, continue to share it within your peeps. Let's just continue to grow the channel. Today we're gonna be wrapping up the NBA trade deadline coverage. We started with the moves that were done, and then we'd go initially earlier in the week, and then we're just gonna wrap up with the last ones that were done up until the deadline. I'm gonna start with my team, actually, the Philadelphia 76ers, because I have a couple of things that I need to get off my chest, and then right after that we're gonna go over what's been done in the NBA world. So the Philadelphia 76ers surprisingly traded Jared McCain to the Oklahoma City Thunder for a 2026 Houston first round pick, 3 second round picks, and that got me a little confused. It got me confused because I really thought that this was probably like preceding a bigger move. That was my hope as a fan also, I'm assuming. And I was hoping for a bigger move. The other move that happened was Eric Gordon being traded to Memphis and they actually had to tie a second round pick for Memphis to take his contract, incentivize Memphis to take his contract also. So those were really like the two moves that the Sixers really made. Then they converted Dominic Barlow, which was one of the explanations that I was seeing online also, that okay, they were creating flexibility to be able to move Dominic to pay Dominic Barlow, convert him to a standard contract in the NBA, and possibly Jabari Walker as well. But let's face it here, I think the front office of the Sixers has disappointed us once again, and I'm actually not even gonna put this just on Daryl Morey. I think I'm gonna put this on Josh Harris. It's really a shame, if you ask me, to be always looking for ways to get under the tax and not pay the tax penalty, the luxury tax bill, every single year. This was a particular year for the Sixers. You have your star player Joel Embiid, who is finally, at least for now, back to playing consistently and playing well. You have Tyrese Maxey, who is playing like crazy right now, working his butt off every night, playing at a very high level, starter in the All-Star game this season, is probably going to be an NBA All-Pro. You finally get some good pieces, some good rotational pieces. You have Paul George. Yes, he's on a suspension right now, but is going to be back with 10 games left in the regular season. Your star player actually come out. Joel literally came out and said, we've been ducking the tax the past years. I hope we don't go that route. And, let's try to at least improve the roster or keep the team together. Now, you go ahead and make this move and nothing else happens. This is a very disappointing move if you ask me, because one, you spent the 16th pick on Jared McCain in last year's draft. I mean, not this past year, but like the year before. So this was his second season with the Sixers. His rookie season got derailed with an injury, and he was slowly but surely coming back. Actually, 2 injuries, one in the knee and one in his fingers, on his shooting hand, I believe. So you mean to tell me, as a general manager and an ownership group, you spent the 16th pick on a player who, before injury, was playing very well and plays pretty well alongside Joel Embiid for the little that we've seen, and you give up on him so quickly, not even giving him a third year after the injury for him to fully recover, go through training camp, and try to prove himself again. You go ahead and give him up for a Houston first round pick, which was really enticing here, the first round pick part of the trade. But unfortunately, it's a Houston pick, which is probably going to be lower than the 16th pick in this draft in 2026, with no guarantee that the pick that you're going to make, if you do make a pick, is going to be anything better than what you had already in-house. I think this move was made just to duck the tax once again. I hear people when they say the package that was received in return was pretty good, but think about who you're trading him to. You're trading him to the Oklahoma City Thunder with Sam Presti. You did this with Isaiah Joe a couple of years ago. Turned out he is a champion now and was very important off the bench for Oklahoma during the run for the championship. Now you're adding that piece to them on the pretty good run that they're on right now. I think this is very unfortunate. That was another slap from the front office to the fans. All we asked for this year was just the hope. The team is playing well. Go ahead and at least this year, pay the luxury tax. Let's see where we go, how far we can go, because the East is so wide open and the competition is only going to be harder next year. With Boston coming, having Tatum back and Tyrese Halliburton coming back also with Indiana, and Lord knows what the Knicks, who are already causing all type of problems to us, is gonna do also. But I really think, this is almost, it's ridiculous. This is almost NBA malpractice, basketball malpractice, if you ask me, from the front office, with this sole idea of let's get under the tax, especially this year. Every other year, I don't care. This year, after the misery that the fans had last year, with all these injuries and all the nonsense that was happening around the Sixers, for the hope to come back this year and just take that hope away by making a trade like this and not making anything else, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Now you're limiting your rotation in at the guard position to VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, and Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes that you couldn't even re-sign last year because he was asking for so much money. So he's gonna be on his own this season. He might be able to come back, but you don't know what other teams are going to offer to him and if you're going to be able to retain him. The likelihood is he might be gone. So you couldn't even, find a deal to extend Grimes. Now you let McCain go, and if anybody between these three, whether it's Maxey, VJ, or Grimes, get hurt, your next guard in the rotation is Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry and Eric Gordon that you initially brought back this season for whatever reason it was, because I don't know what they're really doing on that roster right now. Lowry, I get that he is a leader, but you could have had him on the coaching staff. You wasted 2 roster spots. Then to get rid of the Eric Gordon contract, you even had to tie another pick to get rid of his contract this deadline. You let guys like, Jared Butler go last year, who was playing decent. But now we back to the nonsense of, if you want to let, Tyrese Maxey breathe, or if any of them gets hurt, then you got to revert to Kyle Lowry. This is absolutely ridiculous. And you're doing all this without even knowing if you would have been able to bring Grimes. You will be able to bring Quentin Grimes back, or rely on the whatever move you have planned for the summer, or I don't know, whoever you're going to be able to draft if you don't make any moves. I would have preferred them keeping Jared McCain. If there was no other move that was going to be done, keep him. See what you do with Quentin Grimes at the end of the season. He's still on a rookie contract, so if you're not able to, retain Grimes, then you could keep him and let Grimes go, or vice versa, or hell, why not keep both of them? That was one of the positives of the season, the backcourt of the Sixers anyway. But now you're doing this, and I don't know what message you're sending to your star players, whether it's Tyrese Maxey, who is pretty close to Jared McCain anyway, and Joel Embiid, who specifically has to at least keep the roster together or improve the roster this season. What message are you sending them? Definitely not a championship mentality message. And this front office and this ownership group specifically needs to realize that if you want to be able to compete at the highest level and win a championship, you're going to have to spend money. And money means also paying the luxury tax. That's all I had to say about the Sixers. This has been absolutely ridiculous. I do not approve. I don't like this move at all, because not just specifically because of Jared McCain, but for the simple fact that nothing has been done afterwards. And this clearly looks like a move just to be under the tax, which they obviously are now. And even this whole idea of, oh, we're making moves, we're making room to get Dominic Barlow on a two-way contract, on a standard contract. He is on a standard contract now, but you only give him what, this year, and then next year is a team option. Yeah, you could tell me you did the same thing as Justin Edwards, where you're gonna go ahead and have him, maybe opt out of that team option and then give him a longer contract or whatever. But this was the year where we should have at least been able to be aggressive or retain the same group because of how great the vibe were, and then try to do something by and see how everything goes. So honestly, I'm totally giving up on this front office, whether it's Daryl Morey or the ownership group with Harris and Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, led by Josh Harris. It's really disgusting, the approach that this front office has with the fans, and the way you can take dreams away from us, and then I cannot stand that. With that being said, the Cleveland Cavaliers actually completed another trade. Speaking of a team that is trying to win, they brought in James Harden and traded Darius Garland to the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Clippers also got a second-round pick in the trade. Not a huge fan of the trade either. I think James Harden is a great player. However, I don't really like the fit with Donovan Mitchell out there in terms of defense in the backcourt, especially in the playoffs. One thing for sure is that it's going to benefit the bigs of Cleveland, whether it's Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. James loves playing with bigs that are pretty good in pick and rolls and can be lob threat. So I think the bigs are definitely going to flourish from that. It's really on the defensive end that I'm really worried about this move for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They do have some better defenders coming off the bench now. We spoke about it already, Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know what the rotation is going to look like and how this can really move the needle for the Cavs, but by all means, if that's what they felt they wanted to do, then it is what it is. The Clippers are on a pretty interesting run where they pretty much tear everything down besides Kawhi Leonard in terms of star power. So them getting back a guy like Darius Garland, a younger guard that they can possibly build around. He's on a pretty solid contract, around $39 million a year. The biggest issue has always been the health with Darius Garland, and obviously his size as well. But I think he's going to an environment where he's not gonna be required to win right away. I think the Clippers are, taking a different approach now and going for a quick retool. I wouldn't necessarily call it a rebuild, but a retool. So we'll see how this comes out for the Clips. The Chicago Bulls and the litany of guards that they have out there right now acquire Colin Sexton and Ousmane Dieng, who was then traded to Charlotte, I believe. It's an interesting move again. I think Chicago has finally decided to just be the salary dump of any teams trying to stack up some picks and see what they do next season. But they're finally embracing the rebuild years later, which unfortunately didn't allow them to capitalize on getting premium picks for the star players that they had there, whether it was Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan and stuff. Charlotte got Kobe White and Mike Conley back. Mike Conley is probably going to get waived. I think he has already been waived, so we'll have the option to go to whichever team he chooses to go to. Like I said, there was also Mason Plumlee, who was sent to Oklahoma City, and Ousmane Dieng, like I said, also went to Charlotte. Again, with the second round pick that the Hornets were able to acquire in the move. Plumlee, who's probably going to get waived by the Thunder too. They also got the rights to Balshako Privica. Not sure, it's a 7-1 center. I'm not sure what the plan is with him, but Sam Presti, Lord knows what he has in mind again for a guy like that. And the Jazz actually had some cash consideration, some cash in this trade. So that's another move that was done today. The Orlando Magic sent Tyus Jones to the Charlotte Hornets for some cash considerations as well. Charlotte is able to get Tyus Jones back in this trade. Charlotte, who is really putting a pretty nice team together. I like what they're doing so far, and like I've been saying, I was giving them the next year or two to become what the Pistons were a year or two ago, but they might just be actually even growing a little faster than I expected. So this is gonna be really interesting. Nikola Vucevic was traded to Boston, who was traded for Anthony Simons, and Chicago also got a second round pick in this, and Boston got another second round also. I feel like I've already talked about this, but good for Boston for everything that they've done so far. They're still, in contention right now, and they were looking for a center. So I like this for Boston. Like I said, he's on an expiring contract also, and Chicago gets Anthony Simons, who they can either start or bring off the bench amongst the plethora of guards that they have out there, and they can figure it out from there. Chicago is, like I just mentioned, is on a rebuild mode out there, so I'm not sure. The Utah Jazz got Lonzo Ball and 2 second-round picks from the Cleveland, who also got some cash considerations in the mix. Lonzo is probably going to get bought out from Utah, and we'll see where he goes. He will have the choice to go to whichever team he likes the most. So I'm happy for Lonzo that he gets another opportunity to at least maybe go to a team that is still playing meaningful basketball and see what he can bring to them, at least coming off the bench. Jock Landale was sent to the Hawks in exchange for cash considerations also. Golden State Warriors actually sent Trayce Jackson-Davis to the Toronto Raptors for a second round pick. Excuse me, a 2026 second round pick. I like somewhat like this move because obviously Steve Kerr was not really playing Trayce a lot in Golden State. I like this because the Warriors were able to get a pick, and Trayce is also going to probably be able to play a little bit more in Toronto, especially with Jakob Poeltl dealing with all the injuries that he's dealing with. So I hope for Trayce that he continues to develop from a very low second round pick, and then hopefully he can help the Raptors, who are also having a pretty decent season in the East. One of the big moves, Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield going to Atlanta for Kristaps Porzingis, who is now going to Golden State. Now, in theory, if you ask me this is a very good move, but there's a big if, which is, can Kristaps Porzingis stay healthy? He's been dealing with some injuries and illness, and I know Rick Celebrini is with Golden State and is one of the most respected medical leaders out there, but I can't until I see it on the floor. If you take injuries out, I think he's a very good fit for the Warriors, but I gotta see it, because even the year that he was on that Boston Celtics team and they won the championship, he wasn't healthy for the whole season. He was able to put it together in the playoffs, but yeah, I don't on the long term and in terms of reliability, I don't know if this works out for the Warriors. Obviously, he's on an expiring contract, so that's a good thing. But in terms of, just like I was saying with the Sixers, if you're trying to maximize the last years of Steph Curry, you gotta give him help right now. He's about to be 38 and doesn't have a lot of years left in the league. So it's almost like if Porzingis is not healthy, you punt in the season. And if I'm Steph If Porzingis cannot play, then you might as well shut him down for the rest of the season, and then maybe figure it out in the offseason. So Mike Dunleavy also needs to get his stuff together over there in terms of moves, and see. We'll see how it goes, because this really feels like another wasted Steph Curry's year if Porzingis is not able to stay healthy. But I heard Steve Kerr saying they wouldn't have made the trade if they were not confident that they could, keep him healthy. So we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, at least you get money off your books during the offseason and figure it out from there again. But we'll see. On the other end, JK finally off of this Warriors team, and Steve Kerr not putting too much effort in developing him. Like I said, I just wish he had at least the same amount of opportunities that a guy like Brandon Podziemski has been having with the Warriors. And it's the way Steve Kerr has treated and handled Kuminga's case has been really ridiculous and disgusting, if you ask me. And I'm glad Kuminga then gets another opportunity elsewhere. It's gonna be tough because there's a lot of wings in Atlanta. There's the former number 1 pick Zachary Risache, who's out there. You still have Jalen Johnson. You still got Onyeka Okongwu, who can also play center. So I'm sure he's gonna get an opportunity, especially with Coach Snyder out there. So hopefully he takes advantage of it and maybe becomes a focal piece in Atlanta. Buddy Hield, I guess, was just a matching salary in this trade, and we'll see what he's able to bring to the Hawks. Chicago also got Rob Dillingham, former, I think he was a 4th pick in 2 drafts ago. So another guard again in Chicago, and Lennon Miller, plus 4 second-round picks for Minnesota to acquire Ayo Dosunmu and Julian Phillips. I like this for both teams. Like I said, Chicago is on a rebuild, so they get a young player and would be able to play him and see what whether he can be part of the future or not. I think Ayo Dosunmu is able to, help with Minnesota right now. Alleviate the stress off of Anthony Edwards. That's a guy who can create his own shot and score the basketball also. And if they were able to even, get Mike Conley back now that he's been bought out, that could be interesting and an extra help for Minnesota. I saw Anthony Edwards basically sending a message out there saying Conley should be back if he hears the message. So we'll see what the development is for that. The Hawks also got Gabe Vincent and a 2nd-round pick for sending Luke Kennard to the Los Angeles Lakers. Gabe Vincent going to Atlanta. That's another guard out there that they're able to, like I said, either bring off the bench or start however they see fit. Luke Kennard is a very good shooter. He's very streaky, but could be a good addition for the Lakers. He's still not really bringing you much on defense either. But with the playmaking ability of Luka Doncic and LeBron James and even Austin Reeves, I think if he's able to at least knock down the open threes that he's going to be getting, then I think he would be a good addition for the Lakers. But that still doesn't move the needle for the Lakers, if you ask me. Chris Paul was sent to Toronto. I'm sure he's going to get waived and won't play a single game out there, and would probably have the choice also, which is 1,000% deserved, to choose the team that he wants to finish his career with, and hopefully it could be on a team that will still give him the opportunity to go get a ring eventually. In the move, Brooklyn gets Ochai Agbaji, a 2nd-round pick and some cash consideration worth $3.5 million. And the Los Angeles Clippers get Vancha Marinkovic. Not much on those 2 moves, to be honest with you. The New York Knicks acquire Jose Alvarado in exchange of Dylan Terry and 2 second-round picks that were sent to the New Orleans Pelicans. I like this move for New York. Dylan Terry, who was actually acquired earlier in another trade which is probably I'm going to be talking about later on for Gershon Yabusele. But I like this move for Alvarado. He's going to a team and going to be able to play meaningful basketball. He's from New York. Is going to be able to come off the bench and bring that energy and those steals and little stuff that he does on the court, takes those charges and erupt Madison Square Garden. So I like this move. It's a def beast move for the Knicks, and we'll see how it totally unfolds for them. I still think they could still be in contention, but we'll see how it goes, and what a version of Karl Anthony Towns they pretty much get. Denver was able to send Hunter Tyson to Brooklyn in exchange of a second-round pick. This was strictly a move to get under the tax for Denver, and also being able to sign one of the two-way guys to extend a contract. I've already talked about Eric Gordon to Memphis. One of the most surprising moves of this past trade deadline, Ivica Zubac and Kobe Brown going to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, and 2 first-round picks and 1 second-round pick. That's a lot to discuss there. I think this is a lot that Indiana gave up for Ivica Zubac. I like Ivica Zubac. I think he's probably a top 10 center in the league right now. Might be a top 5. This is clearly a move that is made for next season when Tyrese Halliburton comes back and you're giving him a center. But I think they give up too much. I think Benedict Mathurin and 2 other first-round picks, that's 3 first-round picks and a second-round, plus Isaiah Jackson, who was playing pretty well sometimes off the bench for them, is a lot. If you ask me, and the protection on the 2026 first round pick is pretty crazy, because basically what is happening is it's a protected 1 to 4 and 10 to 30, meaning anything, if that pick falls between 5 and 9, it's going to the Clippers. This is a lottery system. With Indiana being very bad this season, you just never know what's going to happen. So if you happen to see that pick fall between 5 and 10 and goes to the Clippers, you would have basically given Indiana, the Clippers, a top pick in this draft, which is loaded, an unprotected pick in 2029, plus Benedict Mathurin. I know they were probably not going to extend him, but again, plus Benedict Mathurin, who is a pretty good, decent guard, was really good for them last year off the bench during the finals run, and Isaiah Jackson. I just think that's too much for Ivica Zubac, as good as he is, and I'm still really curious to see the fit in Indiana when Tyrese comes back. Hopefully he's healthy enough with the speed that the Pacers like to play at. I'm really curious to see how that fits there, but I guess the front office was convinced Zubac was the guy, and that's why they gave up so much. I think I heard they tried to get Walker Kessler also, but Utah was not trying to move him. Another major move was Anthony Davis getting traded to the Washington Wizards, including D'Angelo Russell, Jaden Hardy, Dante Exum. Dallas got Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Marvin Bagley III, Tyus Jones also came back in this move in the end, and then the Hornets, it was a 3-team trade, and the Hornets got Malachi Branham. Dallas also got 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks in this move. I love this for Dallas because they're able to get some picks, which is now officially, and then they get Chris Middleton expiring contract. So this is officially letting you know that they're now building around Cooper Flagg. It will be interesting to see what they do with Kyrie Irving when he comes back from injury. The composition looks pretty good to me also. The Wizards, on the other end, are really cooking something quite interesting out there because they got Trae Young and Anthony Davis without moving any pick of theirs. So that's really good. And these 2 guys are still not extended yet, so they can decide. There's no pressure on their end. They can decide to let them walk or extend them at a decent price. But at least, if you ask me for next season now, you've given a reason for the fans to be able to come and watch games, even though there's no expectations maybe on them. Obviously, injuries is still a big what if for both players, Trae Young now and AD. But I think that's a pretty good lineup if you ask me. When you have Anthony Davis and Trae Young in a pick and roll, as you know, or just playing off each other on the same roster. And obviously they still got the young guys, Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Shaw. That's the Twin Towers out there in defense. And then Jaden Hardy, who's also obviously with all these guards that they have, whether it's Bob Carrington and Trey Jones and all that. That's a pretty interesting roster that now has the veteran presence of Trae Young, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell. So we'll see what they do next year out there. But I really like them developing the younger players again this year. But I like the fact that they didn't have to spend their own pick in these moves. The Chicago Bulls get the Nick Richards. Memphis gets Ousmane Dieng and Nigel Hayes-Davis, and Phoenix gets Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey. Just another salary dump, I think, for Phoenix, trying to get rid of Nick Richards. They get Cole Anthony and Amir Coffey, and Milwaukee is just doing Milwaukee things at this point. Xavier Tillman was also traded to the Charlotte Hornets, another salary dump from Boston, who amazingly this gotta be studied, guys. In two different, trades eras, which was the offseason and this trade deadline, Brad Stevens and the front office were able to get Boston from almost paying $300 million or $500 million in taxes to them now being under the luxury tax. This is just amazing for Boston. This needs to be studied. And on top of that, we're able to put pieces together, and they're still second in the East right now. So kudos to the Boston Celtics front office. I really love this for them. And Chicago Bulls also got Gershon Yabusele, like I was saying, from New York with a trade from Dylan Terry, and they also got some cash considerations there. I love this for Yabu, who was with the Sixers after his great Olympic run, and hopefully he can, get some more playing times in Chicago and is able to maybe extend his stay in the NBA. And last one was Chris Boucher going to Utah from Boston, which was also another move to free up some money out there for the Celtics. That's pretty much all I have for this episode. Obviously, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Ja Morant didn't get traded. I think Milwaukee, that's just the best. That was, if you ask me, the best option for them, in the sense where now they could, patiently wait until the lottery, clearly see what pick they'll be getting in the draft. I still think Giannis is going to leave unless, Milwaukee gets a high pick in the draft. If you ask me, I would just shut him down for the rest of the season. But I'm sure Giannis' competitive spirit will want to come back and try to win. But we'll see how the situation evolves over there. Ja Morant seems like they didn't have a lot of buzz around him and serious offers, even from Miami. So we'll see what happens to him by the off season. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Like I've already said, please continue to subscribe, continue to like the videos, share the channel with your people, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Ciao.